This is Mike Dreyer from Lich King and Condition Critical, and you are experiencing Poppitt's Corner.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Poppitt's Corner. We're going to be doing something unique on this particular one. I've always kind of wanted to do more of these particular episodes where maybe we don't discuss a top 5 or 10 or a band or anything like that. But I want to have like a specific kind of conversation with you and get your thoughts on it and just see where it goes from here. So I have nothing planned, maybe besides one topic that we can touch upon and then just see where it branches off. So, Shannon, how you been, man? Thanks so much again for coming and hanging as usual. I hope you're well, man.
Oh yeah, I'm doing well. It's great to be back. Another episode. Hell
It's
yeah.
great to great to have you and stoked that you're part of the show, obviously. And um, I'm assuming the band's good before we get into the specific topic at hand. But I'm assuming the band's good. You guys are jamming, it seems like, and really looking forward to what you guys have coming up as far as recording wise. So, and I'm sure you're stoked. It seems like life is good for you. So it's just great to have you. And if you're ready, I'd love to get started.
Absolutely.
Cool. So for this specific episode, I figured because of the whole, I don't know, just what's kind of happening around us, and I just wanted to get your opinion of how you see the music industry maybe in the next 5 years, how it's going to kind of be different than pre-pandemic and whatnot. Because it seems like and I'm just going to go with just one minuscule kind of topic within the music business and touch upon the vinyl kind of craze that's been happening. Obviously, more people are buying vinyl. It's like the most preferred way of listening to music, and then streaming, and then compact discs, I think, something like that in that order. But I know vinyl for sure is like, dominating right now. And there's a huge kind of not enough supply, but way more demand for it because we're in this, obviously most of us are spending our hard-earned dollars on records rather than going out to shows. So I was just kind of curious and we can start here is your opinion of maybe what how the world's going to, or the music business is, how it's going to look in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's hard. That's difficult. Because you can't really foretell the future. But I think the vinyl craze is going to continue for quite a while. I think the cassette thing is going to make its huge return. I don't think the 8 track will make its way back, but uh, I think it'll continue. Because if you think about it, it's cross genre. It's not only metal, like as much as metalheads are so diehard about their physical product and whatnot. It's going different directions. Even the rock world, the rap world, even. So I think it's going to continue. The weird part, though, is I hope they get the streaming thing figured out to get the bands paid and whatnot. I think that's going to make a big. It's going to surface.
That'll be interesting. I think with the streaming, they're going to focus more on podcasts, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
because that seems to be like a massive avenue too. That's kind of an untouched market, things like what we're doing and whatnot. So eventually, like I know with Spotify, and they're doing like obviously Joe Rogan's on it and he's doing videos. I'm assuming that's going to happen to all of us, where we can put our shit on Spotify that way and whatnot. But I don't see it's like the thing where if you take away something, chances are you'll never get it back. Like, with the government kind of takes something away, chances are they never give it back to you, right? Like your rights, and it's the same with everything out there. But I think you make a good point on, because it's the vinyl craze is not just rock and metal, but it's rap, country, pop. These bigger labels obviously kind of have almost a hold on the plants, because Yeah, there's a couple of plants out there, but there's only I think one or two that provide the materials. And I'm just kind of curious. I've never heard like somebody talk about this, but I'm just kind of curious why we haven't made more plants that can provide the material. Why is it only like one or two plants that have the stronghold on the materials? So I don't know. I'm hoping hoping we can discuss some of that. But what are your thoughts?
I think that it came back so rapid. The vinyl craze happened so fast. I mean, not just within the metal realm. We've always had our 7 inches, and there was always been vinyl of some sort being released in the punk world too. They're big in the punk world, but as far like because these bigger conglomerate of labels are involved, I think they're since you said like they have the majority, they have the like a hold on these establishments that do this, and I think because it happened so rapidly that it hasn't new people haven't wanted to branch out and build more because I think that they may be scared that it can go away again at any time. That's my opinion. But it happened so rapidly that the country thing, they jumped on it at the same time the pop world jumped on the vinyl craze, at the same time that the rap world and the hip hop world jumped on the vinyl craze. And it's happened so fast. I mean, if they were smart, they would build a couple more, I think, at this point. But I think a lot of companies are scared because it can just disappear again in their minds, in a business sense, that it can just disappear at any time because the streaming is so relevant nowadays and everybody listens to their stuff streaming wise.
See,
But I mean, you know, eventually they're going to have to get caught up somehow because right now there's a 6 month delay up to a year sometimes, right? A year and a half, I've even heard that. Well, pretty soon that's going to go to 2 years. That's going to stretch to 3 years if they don't do something. And maybe they should start running 24-hour shifts. You know, I think that would really solve an issue too.
well,
But I
the pro-
don't know if they do or don't. You know, I'm just saying, you know, from my point of view, run
sure.
24-hour shifts, a graveyard, a swing shift, keep it going. But I don't know the logistics of all that, but it's just what I think.
I think that I don't know if labels. I mean, obviously, if it was up to a label, everything would be streaming. They don't want to spend money on material possessions, and they're probably pissed that the vinyl craze is so massive on a certain level because that cuts into their profit. They have to pay to have that shit produced, and then
But
you know
that's why when they sell it, if you think about how much a vinyl record is,
it's like 40
wow.
bucks.
Yeah, I remember when they were 10 bucks. They were $7. I remember that when I was younger. And all of a sudden they're 40 bucks, 50 bucks. Like, come on, right?
Well, let's just talk about the last 10 years. Not like obviously today is way different than I would say the 1970s and 80s and even the 90s, dude. So let's just talk about the last 10 years. Like I specifically remember vinyl being like $25 on average. Now it's up to 40, dude. So in the last 10 years, and I think all of us saw this coming. I mean, we all talked about it. I specifically talked about it on when I was doing radio back then. Even still to this day, I'll go back and listen to a couple of the episodes. I'll be like, yeah, like, even I knew it back then. So I'm assuming most people did, but nobody did anything about it. It's like nobody did anything to they just thought it was kind of a fluke for like 2 or 3 years. But since it's happening, it's here. It's here happening right now. I'm kind of curious what's gonna happen in the near future for it.
I hear you. I'm the same way. I wonder the same thing myself. I hope my prediction come true that it doesn't expand to 5 years for a single release to get released on vinyl.
Can
You
you
know,
imagine what that's gonna do to the industry? The music industry is
it's
already
already
fucked.
fucked. I
Yeah,
know it's already bad. You can't. I mean, how much more can you fuck it up, right?
it's only
I'm
gonna
sure
get
there's a
worse.
way.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's only gonna get worse. And not to cut you off or anything, but it's like
Yeah.
um, somebody's got to step in at some point, and if they don't want it to get worse. But I just was curious, like I just wonder with all the changes happening due to this whole COVID thing and whatnot. It's like, where's that gonna leave us smaller bands in the bands of our statues, and uh, it's just gonna be really interesting that because the big bands they already have they're established already, right? And the bands are either retiring or going away. So you're not going to have. We've already established this. You're not going to have um, arena rock anymore. That's a thing of the past. That ain't going to ever happen with a band because of all the distractions we have, our phones and everything else, right? Technology. So the with that in mind, I think the music industry is with the technologies has to catch up with it a little bit, and with that in mind, it's like it's time we've established CDs it's like the opposite now because CDs I guess were massive, the massive price difference, right? And the vinyls now are the thing that is growing in popularity, and with that there's more demand and less supply. So with that, it's just economics and whatnot. But just kind of curious, why haven't we made or somebody made more of these plants and whatnot? Why is there only two in the world that provides the materials for the vinyl if it's such a huge demand right now?
We got to figure that out. We got to find out. It'd be something to look into, really.
I mean, I think the first step is asking the question, so that's why it's really important. But I also think it's like, where's it going to leave us bands who want to do the vinyl thing? Is it going to take us 4 years for the small bands now to be able to like place our orders in there? Because with that, every genre is running vinyls and whatnot, and they're going to have the first take because obviously they got the funds, they got the money to do that. So I think it's going to really obviously hurt the smaller bands in particular and whatnot. And labels are still trying to just hang on,
Do you
but the
think a
vinyl.
lot of this? Do you think
Mhm.
a lot of this might be uh, eventually processed overseas?
Well, they're already processed overseas. Like, I think Japan has like one of the only plants that do that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I don't
Japan
know.
does, and somewhere in the U.S. But those are like the only two places that literally provide the lacquers that 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 are used to make the vinyl. So that's why I'm saying I don't know why those are the only two. Is it like what makes them so special? So I don't know, you know. So I just wanted to get on here and just touch
Makes
upon a
you
few things.
wonder. Makes you
Hmm.
wonder if there's a monopoly on the supplies. Huh?
Yeah,
You
or
know?
if there's just not enough of it that can't be replicated or whatnot. I mean, I don't know. It says, it's like I guess it's like any other business and industry. But will vinyl ever go away because of not having enough supplies? I don't know.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Now records would be $100 for a fucking LP rather than than where we're at now, and it could happen, dude. I could literally see it happening where there's no more materials to press the vinyl. The only way that obviously you could do it at that point is just the streaming or CDs or whatnot, right?
But it makes you wonder too. Now that brings me to a point. Like, okay, so if you, why wouldn't they recycle that? Like,
Well, they
okay,
probably
we'll
already
we'll,
do.
we'll take a we'll take like, not that I'm against this, and if I offend anyone by saying this, I'm sorry. But
Oh
to
no, you're
take
not.
an old Simon and Garfunkel record that was in 1960, whatever, that no one really cares about. I mean, sure, it may be worth money, but how many people these days listen to Simon and Garfunkel? Not a whole lot, right? What and say it was a shitty album, it didn't sell, but people still have the vinyl. Why wouldn't they, in a general aspect, not singling them out, but take those old records and recycle those to make new vinyl for the newer bands that are or newer product that's coming out. Or is there another way that they would make it? Would they take plastic garbage or grocery bags from Walmart and Smith's, and all of a sudden that becomes the new hemp? Maybe, who knows what they can make out of that? That's still new in processing.
I think, well, with the hemp, to answer the hemp question, I think hemp can pretty much make almost anything, and that's why they didn't want it to. They, meaning the elite, didn't probably want it to, you know, or at least weed. They didn't want the weed laws to pass, and it did. So that's opening up a whole new, now Pandora's box is open as far as the hemp craze goes, and hopefully that takes over.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap to produce. It can do a lot of things, and I mean, for God's sakes, I think the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper or some form of it. So, you know,
Right.
so it
Mm-hmm.
can be used for a lot of things. So that's a good point. Maybe it can be used for vinyl and whatnot. I don't know. I'm just asking the question, just as you are, right? So it's like, but I think to also answer your question too is, and I love Simon and Garfunkel. Just FYI, one of my favorites. So, but I think they already are doing that. I think I mean they got to be recycling old vinyl and whatnot. At least that's probably how it's kept the industry kind of booming and whatnot. Still, having the supplies. But I don't know. I don't, like I said, I'm like you. I don't know what it takes to go into making vinyl. So, um, I'm just sure, dude, it's probably a huge process that me and you probably could never ever do or would ever want to do. So,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, where does that leave us bands? My original question.
Stuck,
Yeah.
stuck, stuck. So where we'd be waiting that same amount of time, 4 years, to release your album that just released on CD and streaming wise, then you have to wait 4 years for that same album to get released. That's how
And,
I think that's how it's going to be, unless they really do something.
and can you imagine putting all your hard work, effort, money, time into making a record and it's not going to be pressed for 4 years? Can you imagine that?
Do you think it would still sell? I don't think so. I don't. I think that would be like,
Well,
because
you
that's
think,
another 4 albums, 3 albums, 2 albums for some bands, but that's more than one release in,
can you
in that
imagine?
cycle.
Hmm. Go ahead. Yeah,
Eh,
go ahead.
Yeah. So that now you're waiting. I would think that the buying people would lose interest in that specific. Um, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. That specific product, the vinyl thing, where already they have the CD. Sure, they would like the vinyl, but after 4 years, I would think people might lose their interest in buying that specific product.
Well, but let me branch off of this real quick. I think because the world has this instant gratification thing and this everything is so instant already, I think people would forget about us fans. That's the other
That's
thing that comes to mind too, where it's like yeah, it's gonna take 4 years, but people are gonna forget about that album the next month. So it's like
yeah. Well,
so what?
next week,
Yeah, exactly, right there, or the next day. So my point in all this is is there going to be there's and the answer is probably no, but do you ever think that there's going to be a quality control maybe they have to listen to the music and then decide if they're going to press it or not? Or is it because that's I'm sure the answer is no, because obviously money talks, but you know it's not going to matter the quality, obviously. But imagine some of our records aren't going to get that fair shot because everyone else, the bigger labels, have that stronghold. Um,
right?
I'm surprised vinyls don't or labels don't have like their own pressing plant.
Yeah.
Like they
You-
don't have like an in-house vinyl guy that makes all their records. So where I don't know, you know.
that may be coming too. That may be coming. Oh, you'll never know. I mean, like I said, I wish I could foretell the future. Rub my own head there, crystal ball. But Yeah, I would think that that would start because they did it with tapes. They did it with CDs. I mean, come back tomorrow and we'll have 100 made for you. Okay, great. I mean, just an opinion there, but I would think that that would happen.
And now, how is this going to fit? So, did we only touch upon one small fragment of like what's happening in the music business right now, right? The
Right.
other the other thing that I kind of wanted to touch upon is the live aspect, because I've been hearing some things where you know people are kind of miserable touring nowadays because of all the restrictions and limitations and whatnot. It's like, is how many of us bands are still going to be left after this?
The ones that,
And why are we going to still be here? Is the other thing too, you know.
yeah, that is a rough question to answer because there's so many different answers you can give. Um, I don't know. To me, everything's pushed from what people uh, of specific areas don't particularly want, but it's getting shoved upon them. It's getting pushed upon them. Get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. That's just one portion of it. And I don't like getting political, but
But it's affecting us
that
now. It's
the
here.
media has sent scares, just that scares and lies that are so bad that you don't know what to believe, but everybody believes them because it's on that news station that they listen to, right? It doesn't matter what side. I mean, I don't know how to really explain it other than that because when you get fear pushed upon you, when everybody starts to believe it's that herd mentality. As the herd mentality grows, so does the higher ups and the elites' power. So they want to keep this going forever. Well, it's up to the musicians and the attendees of the concerts that everyone that wants to see live music or live anything to fucking rebel, to what's right for you and do what's right for you. But until we get past that point, everything is at a standstill. Bands are miserable to tour because the people in the crowd are miserable to go to the show because they're so scared of getting the virus that it affects them not having a good time to go to the show. Ticket sales, for certain bands, sure, they sell out, but other bands, like I seen online, I don't remember what band it was they were touring, and they had 20 people when they're a fairly larger band. Like, how could you have 20? Because everybody's so scared, don't want to really go out. There's
Interesting.
a two-way street to it. So then I think also with that, like we want to press more vinyl. Well, if the people that I'm sure are half scared to even go to a record store, then aren't they? Are scared to go to the grocery store. So I don't know. It's just so like there's such an edge. I don't even know if I crossed that edge. If I did, if I offended, I'm sorry, but that's just the
Dude,
way I see
never
everything.
never apologize for offending. If you're offended, fuck you. Okay? Go listen to something else. Now, I think that um I think what's going to kind of happen, first of all, it'll never happen to where we will rebel because there's just so many stupid people out there. Um, not to get political either, but I'm going to. It's been shown, obviously, with the whole virus thing, how stupid people are. Um, without giving away any political stance or anything, but who they know who they are, and most of them are ignorant to where they don't think they're doing anything wrong. So, uh, I believe in freedom of choice. So whether that's a right issue or a left issue, it doesn't really matter. I would never want to sacrifice anything just to be able to go see live music. Do you know what I mean? like your
Right.
health and whatnot, and it's going to come to that point. And I'm kind of fine with not going to another show ever again if that's the case. Do you know what I mean? And I think with this whole thing, that's probably why the vinyl thing is obviously booming. Most people are spending more money on that to take it back to the vinyl thing instead of going to live music, because everything is so fucked right now. Like I think I'm most people are kind of waiting it out to see. I mean,
I think so.
you also know this too. Most people aren't even wanting to work anymore. You're starting to see like, and I'm sure that it's for a variety of reasons. I'm sure it's laziness. I'm sure it's they probably make more money um, not working than if they did work. But dude, it's just that's just one aspect of that whole of what's kind of happening, and it's seeping into every industry. So every industry is going to suffer, not just the music industry, but the food industry, the retail industry. It's going to affect all of it, and it has. So let's concentrate mostly on like the musical side of things if we can. kind of take it back. I know we went on some tangents, but it's just it's all frustrations at this point for me personally of seeing what's happening. But
So then, do you think there'll be fake live albums now?
there's always been fake live
I mean,
albums.
like more so, like no crowd at all.
You know
Live
what?
albums where you fill in the crowd by the VST plug-in, right?
Well, that's already a thing. I think what I suspect too, and it's kind of interesting. You know how we have live streams?
Hmm.
I have a feeling that these live streams are going to be turned into like vinyls, like like Madras live stream at the blah 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 blah, and that would be on like a vinyl record. Like I can see that being a thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's possible, very possible,
I mean, Avenger of
with an
Blood
added
live
crowd.
stream. Yeah, no live stream at or sorry, what's a venue? The dive bar. Okay, I'm just gonna use the dive bar because I know that's close to you. So it'd be like
Okay,
Avenger of Blood dive bar live stream edition. Like that would be
right.
you know what I mean? That would be a thing.
With
Like I could just
wacky, whaley, flailing arm tube men.
but I could see that being a thing where like you get the DVD thing of it and the vinyl and
The
I
box
mean
set of that live
yeah the live
performance with a patch and a seat and
dude
a
it's coming.
sticker.
It's coming. See, you might laugh at it, but it's coming. It's just
I think you're right.
it's just it's like yeah I'm curious if bands are going to still wanting to release albums again because of it. And but maybe maybe the vinyl thing won't be such a big deal for bands either. Maybe it'll just be like, you know what, we're still going to release music because this is what we do and this is what we enjoy and this is how we get through this thing called life. And and um maybe they'll do it for an anniversary of each of the records. I don't know. I'm only speculating, but what, in your opinion, what's going to be the biggest change?
The biggest change, I think, is going to be the exposure of the label monopoly on streaming services. Within the next 5 years, I think that the
How so? Explain.
bands, the
Mhm.
bands and the people, the musicians that are finally going to get their just due and get paid. I think that's going to happen. So that's probably the only thing I think in 5 years that'll change.
Well, the only way that's going to change, and I hate to tell you this, is all of us bands taking our music off of those platforms because without us, they're not
Well,
making any money, and that's not going to happen because all the big labels make deals with them. So,
which
anyway,
I think the government somehow is going to get involved
mm,
because it's already kind of starting, right? I
it
mean,
is.
if you yeah, if you think about this, so when the live thing stopped, right? All these all these like even bigger name musicians started going after the government about why are we being held back when there's masks this and masks that and vaccines now, right? So now they have the government involved in that aspect what's to say just around the corner there's everyone's going to start reacting because they're not getting paid like they should. Instead of the bands taking it off, the bands are going to react and rebel.
But with anything the government gets involved in, it never is
It
good.
don't turn out well ever. No, no, it doesn't.
I
But
mean,
I think that that's going to cause a scene. That's what
well,
I'm saying. I think the musicians are finally going to get to see their just due. It's just
well,
how I see it. I don't know. It's going to be a crazy
well. Here,
experience watching it happen, but I think it's going to happen.
well, here's the thing. There's going to be tons of blowback from that too, though, because what you're going to see is it's just like what's happened with what's happened all of this year with the pushback of vaccines and and whatnot, where you're going to have people that disagree with it and call you a moron, but you just have to go through with it. If you want
Hmm.
change to happen, you just got to fucking go through with it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I'm
It,
probably going to be called a moron for what I just said,
well, I
but
am too. So I don't give a shit about any of that. I seriously, I don't care. It's a matter of free will and principle for me personally. So, it's I've been called worse. It ain't that big a deal. So I think with this in mind, it's just I don't know what's gonna happen. But if we get the government involved, if that's the only way to break up a monopoly. I mean, dude, they tried to do it with Facebook, and what happened
they
with
didn't
that?
even try. No, they
Dude,
didn't
they
even
got
try
paid
yet.
off. Like I don't know what the fuck happened. Obviously this new administration and whatnot got in, and nothing's been done as far as that goes. In fact, in my opinion, everything's gotten worse. So,
Hmm.
you
It
know,
has, and now Facebook is expanding. I
yeah,
don't know if you've seen that. That's crazy.
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't really been on. I try not to give them my money. You know, so, um, so I don't know what's going on with as far as that goes, and um, but dude, yeah, I won't even get on TikTok because of their fucking um their what's the thing I'm looking for? Their contract you have to sign and pretty much, giving all your information away to some to a country that doesn't need to have it. So,
Hmm. Yep.
um, but this music business, man, it's gonna be tough. It always has been, and I think change is a good thing almost all the time, and it's just we just have to roll with the punches and see what's going to happen. But I think us bands are gonna at the bottom, or not even, I wouldn't even call us at the bottom, but the underground is going to suffer more than I think what people think. And even the bands that are kind of signed to big labels that never made an impact or anything like that, the new bands are just, they're kind of fucked all around unless we kind of band together, and that's not never going to happen. There's so much competition with us bands now. It's not even, dude. It's not even funny. That's why you see kind of. I thank God for like the CMS network and places like this where, um, we're expanding and going and working together as a team rather than it being like me versus you versus this guy. That has never worked. The reason
Right.
why all of these scenes, and not to rehash an episode that I saw on the CMS last week and whatnot, but competition. There's no need for it right now. We have to work together. So I think that's why these podcasts are so important, and people at least taking the chance to expose other bands and work together rather than, I don't know, rather than have that competition factor and kind of divide everything. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but to me, the only way that we're going to succeed is by banding together. And it seems like bands just don't want to do that because it's of his selfish reasons, or just from maybe because we're all human beings and that's just part of being a human being. I don't know.
It's weird to know though. When did that? I mean, and it happened out of nowhere. When the this competition thing started? Like to
It's
me, it
always been there.
was
It's always been
never. Sure, sure, but not in this. Maybe I see it a little differently now than I did before. I mean, there was always there's always going to be competition, but when did it become like the main? Instead of the helping, it's became no, I'm not helping you because so and so and so and so, right? could be anything, just off the cuff, you know. So instead of bands helping each other, I mean, sure there are some, but not all. Most of what I see is that this band cares about themselves, and that's it. Doesn't matter
Do you think that has to do with
because it's to help them get more sales or something. I don't know because how many bands? I mean, even I don't do it much on from my. Okay, if you were to go to something Avenger Blood related, I don't think I ever have promoted any other band's releases on my own stuff. Not not that I don't support it because I do support it. You know what I mean? Like everything's become so self-centered lately because of the way the social media is. It is more self-centered, except when you have certain people that call themselves such and such promotions, and they're not really promoters, but they're putting up bands and they're putting up links to their bands and they're putting, on the social media platform. Those people are the good ones, but I don't see many bands helping other bands.
Do you think that has to do with two things? And my answer is yes, but I want to get your opinion of it. Do you think that has to do with ego and fear with between these bands and them not having the confidence to say, yeah, we are good, but we can also help out these bands and bring us all up because the old guard sure as fuck didn't do that for us.
Right,
It's up to us to do it. It's up to
right.
us young guys and young bands to fucking do that shit. And going back to what you said, even like what 2 years ago, when did I interview you? 2 years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Little
I
more
can't
than
even
two.
I can't even remember at this point. But my point in all this is you saw something that in this show that I never saw, and I just fucking woke up to see it. Is like the reason why this show is important to us people, and again, I'm confident in saying that is at least the show is taking chances on other bands, and we're bringing us all up rather than it just being the Madrost experience, and you guys are all in it for the long for the, because it's all about me. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
it's never been about that. I've never, and you know me, right? Have I ever said this show is about only Madrost ever? No. This
No.
show is about all of
Metal.
us bringing us all up and learning a little bit about each of us and our journeys and our experiences, and maybe educating bands on what to do and what not to do, and shining a light on us bands, because it really is. And you saw that more before I did, so thank you for waking me up finally to it. But it's important to have avenues like this. It's
Hmm.
important to have, especially right now, because it's so needed. I mean, dude, if bands are afraid to play live and this, that, and the other, they're only going to have these avenues to promote themselves.
And if they do, hey, good luck. Keep going. Push yourself. That's the best way to do things. I mean, if you can't do it one way, find another. If you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing.
Well, that's the problem, though, is nobody's wanting to open the door and invite people to join. So again, but we're changing that here. It's obviously obvious there, for at least to me, having places like the Aftershocks podcast, Aftershocks TV, the Classic Metal Show, Poppitt's Corner, Talking to Infinity. We're all kind of, you know, not sucking on the tit of big old bands. We're helping to restore that ground level support and bring us all up to a level that we all deserve to be at, man. Like dude, I love Avenger of Blood, right? Obviously I was a fan of what you guys did, and I told you this off the record. But the fact that like we're doing something together, that's more important than any fucking music ever, is
Right.
it's that camaraderie and having that relationship rather than um am I making sense? Hopefully I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, but I'm still trying to get my point across. Is it's important for bands to work together like this, and
Hmm.
I think we're working together on it. I mean, dude, we interviewed, what,
Each other
Angelo?
about, yeah.
Yeah.
we gave each other a top 10 list of each of our own bands.
Well, not only
That's
that, but
hey.
we bring on other guests, and the Heretic boys are are obviously big fans of what we do, and we've had them on the show, and we'll continue to do that for the bands that we love, and that the bands that we want to see grow and never got their due. Man, it's hugely important, dude, because
Mm-hmm.
the old bands aren't going to do that. So it's up to
Right.
us. But lastly, I want to thank you for coming on and hanging and getting your thoughts on this stuff. I just was in the mood to do something, and I'm so glad that you had the time to come on and hang with me and talk some shit. Because it's needed, dude. With what we're all going through. But what is happening with the Avenger of Blood camp right now? Are you in the middle of recording?
Still have vocals. We still have vocals left to do. So we've been jamming. I mean, we had to take a couple weeks break because we practiced at our guitarist brother's house, and his guitarist brother and his wife both got the COVID. Then right after the wife's sister got the COVID, so that took us 2 weeks off. So now we're finally back at it. So we're jamming to get the vocalist up to speed. And once he's up to speed, 6 or 7 practices, then we can start recording the vocals and get them done. But we want him to not sound like shit after one song or 2 songs, and to get his voice really warmed up and pissed off like it's supposed to be. Which he's on it though. He's on it. But we haven't jammed, so like today after 3 songs it kind of disappeared a bit, but there's still strong vocals and everyone's going to like it. It's a little different from the original recording, but they're still angry and aggressive. They don't sound as Millie-ish from Creator like the original album does, but I think everyone will be happy.
But do you want it to sound Mie-ish? Don't you want it to sound Avenger of
Kind of what
Blood-ish?
made us what we were. It's not like we're still trying to be Creator. We weren't trying to be Creator. It just came out that way, and it just happened to be that this is kind of how we're known.
Let
That's
me
how
ask
I view it.
let me ask you something real quick before we get off here, because this just kind of came to mind.
Yeah.
Is when obviously all of us bands go through this point where people lose interest at a certain point in a band's career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've always kind of been fascinated why that was. In my opinion, I lose interest in a band's career when they just are doing the same shit every album. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no growth, there's no bands taking chances and whatnot. So where are you at in terms of that how that goes?
Oh, the newer stuff we're working on is full of that, taking chances. We're opening doors that we haven't. That I was. Okay, so before I felt like I was in a box, as I explained last time we talked. I think we talked about Avenger somehow, but I felt like I was being locked in this box, and it was hard to get out of it because I didn't know how. I didn't understand at the time because I was just so concentrated on how we're supposed to sound to me. But how we're supposed to sound to me was stressed out, burnt out, and I didn't know how to progress beyond that. So after taking those few years off that we took, it wasn't supposed to happen, but I'm glad they did because bringing in the new guys, like they showed me that look, all we have to do is this. Well, if it's that fucking simple, why didn't I think of that before? But it took them to realize, for me to realize through them that this is how you fix it. So now we fixed it. We're working on fixing it. So now it's a matter of also bringing in different elements to what is already established because I want to keep that thrash aspect about us solidified. So when we do bring the other elements in, it's not too much outside the norm where it's like, well, they lost me because they did this. instead of sneaking it in and try and play with it a little bit and then release it and see what happens. You know, I'm
Do you,
excited about it, believe
yeah,
me,
I'm
because
excited to hear
holy
too.
shit.
Do you think that came from the scene that you were kind of brought up in though? Because let me finish this real quick. You know, the new wave of thrash always had this kind of tendency, I'll call it, that it's only thrash all the time. And so you kind of had to placate within that specific thing because you guys got lumped in and labeled as that as a band from that specific scene.
No,
So
it
it was like,
wasn't the fact of being lumped in
mm-hmm,
because I didn't care what other people thought.
mm-hmm.
I cared what I thought. And what I thought was kept me in this box because of how I was thinking. And if I would have just stepped back and looked at it as a fan, as a person who likes music, a thrash fan, what would I want different? What would I want to change within my own band? But I couldn't do that. And then I ended up making the mistake of recording the third album. To me, mistake. Not that it's not a good album, but it's not, to me, an Avenger of Blood album. It has the name Avenger of Blood on it. I was trying something new though. Like you said, why don't people? Well, I did. I got out of the thrash strictness and added the death metal element in. And some people really like it, some people really don't. But I tried, but within myself, I felt maybe I shouldn't have tried that. That should have been something totally different, not Avenger of Blood. That should have been a different project. So now to me, where we're at with Avenger is exactly what should have happened to me. The
Well, at least it happened
expanded
at all.
elements, the melodic expanding a little bit, the technicality expanding a little bit, adding different elements of progressive stuff and harsher stuff, and just, but we're going to continue writing and see what happens. But I'm really excited for it. I really am. I haven't been this excited since Death Brigade, really.
But my point is at least it's happened because most bands don't get that opportunity again to go back and at least give it another shot and be better for it. So just throwing it out there. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like it's gonna be probably the best Avenger of Blood, and I know it's as cliche as possible, but probably the best album you guys are gonna make up until this point. So, um, but yeah, Shannon, I really appreciate you coming on and hanging. It always means
Oh
a
yeah,
lot. I look forward to doing more and more and more and more of these with you, and hopefully we can do some more of these kind of topic episodes as well, where we don't always have to do a top 5 or 10. We can just kind of discuss and get our opinions on certain things. So hopefully you're up for that because I sure as fuck
absolutely.
love these.
Hell
so
yeah,
so
yeah. Exposing the, expanding the horizon. Yeah.
it's all good, man. So yeah, another episode of Poppitt's Corner. We're out of here, guys. Cheers.